What's up? We're back. It's All or Nothing.
Oh!
The host, Johnny Robertson, with me, as always, my two good friends, Jasper Grover, Edward Dunstan. Here we are, lads. I'm one of you.
Oh my god.
How's it feel to be down in the dumps?
Feels awful. Feels horrendous.
Have you gone through the 5 stages of football grief yet? Yeah.
Well, I've been prepping for it for a lot of the season, given some.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, what, like a third of the way through the season, you like Geelong weren't looking very good. You were very down on them.
Yes.
I still said that they'd make the finals, but sure enough, your pessimism paid out.
Yeah. Okay. So, on top of the show, I said to you just before we jumped on, trivia question: when was the last time all of Geelong, Hawthorn, and Essendon weren't playing finals? Any
I'm
quick,
gonna say 97.
Jasper?
I was gonna say like, no, I don't even know. I was gonna say, what was that year?
I
Geelong
just
just
read about it.
missed the finals.
97.
Whenever Geelong most recently missed the finals that year.
Oh, like
2000
2015 or something.
Now I want to have a look at what happened in 97 because Bombers were very good at the turn of the century.
But they weren't that good. No, Geelong definitely made the finals in 97. I just remembered.
Yeah, we were second
So
on the
I was
lap.
wrong. Yeah.
It was 2006. None of the
Yeah.
teams made it. The year that the won the grand
Wow.
final. I remember that vividly because I was in Perth and people were going nuts.
Yeah, where Bomber almost got
Okay.
asked for not making the finals.
Do you guys remember in the year
Ed, you're going to have to do something
like the
about your
AFL
internet
was like, we
connection
need to do
because
an
you're not
investigation.
Really, you're going to have to go again there. That was nothing.
You're very delayed.
Am I back yet?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Take two. Can you remember the time in the mid 2000s when the AFL was like really worried about like how the non-Victorian teams were dominating the AFL, like, and how that was a big issue. Like in the mid 2000s, West Coast, Sydney, Brisbane, Port Adelaide, they were all dominating. Even Adelaide as well.
It's amazing
and
that
big,
was
like,
dominating story when Twitter didn't exist. It couldn't drive that.
Yeah,
bias.
yeah. There was outrage and about how the Victorian clubs are going to fold because they're not good enough anymore, and it's like like footy.
I remember
media is so short.
Demetrio being very sour on Sydney in their game style. I don't remember too much of the hub about all this interstate bashing out of Victorian clubs in success. But
Yeah,
how
like,
the
it
tide
definitely-
has turned.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think there was several years there in the mid 2010s, 2010s or whatever that you'd have max like 2 interstate teams in the finals or something like that. But
yeah.
Well,
Just while you're talking, I'm just having a quick look. At 1996 is the only year I can find where all of Geelong, Hawthorn, and Essendon were all playing finals. I don't think I saw that at any point because obviously Essendon's been quite mediocre for a while, even when Hawks and Cats have been good. But Bombers finished in 1996. Bombers finished 6th. Geelong finished 7th. Hawthorn finished 8th.
Oh,
Wow.
sounds typical Hawthorn, just sneaking into the 8 if they're there at all.
And then the Hawks weren't the year before or the year before that. 95 Hawks were second last.
It was
Anyway.
a lean decade.
You guys won the premiership in
Yeah, well, from
1991.
like the mid 90s on, it was very lean.
Oh, buddy. We'll get to it, I'm sure. But the Bombers.
We can never complain. It's just always coming back to Ed and
You'll always win the oppression Olympics in the end.
Oh my god, yeah, I like love this because any team that claims to have had it bad,
we need a Saints
don't
fan
know.
as a co-host.
But like, if I was a Saints fan, I'd be like, you know what? We've actually had a pretty good 3 decades.
That's
like,
how you know you're not a Saints fan. There are very little that optimistic Saints fans out there that are clinging to any kind of non-premiership success.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, actually, speaking of Saints, they're having their what is it? Like a premiership team reunion, and they're viewing I know this because my partner, Katie, and her mother, who is a very diehard Saints fan, are going to go to St Kilda to the Palais Theatre to watch this, the 1966 grand.
No,
yeah, and then at
no.
halftime, they're going to have the players from that game, who probably are about 109 years old now. Like,
Oh my God.
going to come out and they're going to like talk about the game and how good it was, and the Saints and stuff. Which
I might need to
gorilla
tell my dad about this event.
Animations on like the back of the screen, still alive.
Yeah. No, I think sounds like a very fun evening.
Meanwhile, yeah, that's how far back. That's what I mean about how bad it is being a Saints supporter. They have to go that far back to enjoy their most recent premierships. They've got to bring out people who look like they're doing World War II documentary. Old blokes talking about the war times.
Well, it's not all doom and gloom for the Saints at the moment. We can dive straight in, because
this all being said, I still feel like,
Ed, you're all over the shop. I'm going to let you go. As I said, the Jack Sinclair, the man with the fantastic mullet, or the overly aggressive mullet, I think I put it on Saturday night, just absolutely destroyed us. In fact, all of the Saints destroyed us. They pretty much they led every single stat possible, even the free kick count 20-5, which I'm not getting like hung up about that. It was like, I can tell it was mostly through us holding the ball or getting some sort of like penalization against us, because the Saints, they looked really clean. They looked very tidy. Inside 50s were only 59-41, so they were pretty close, but the final score 12-16, 88-8-7, 55. And I got to be honest, it should have been like a 100-point victory to the Saints. They looked that good.
Yeah, Geelong put up a fight in the third quarter, was it, where they got kind of close, and then Saints just held them out.
It was actually the second quarter we were like fairly competitive. We got it back to within like 6 or 7 points.
Yeah.
And then after halftime, it was just doomsday.
Yeah, there was some poor kicking on Saints' behalf. They went, what was it, 6 goals, 8 after half. So yeah, 6 goals, 8 in each half.
They displayed a graphic on the screen that was something like the Saints were like 1 goal 11 from turnovers.
I can believe that. It was just bad kicking. Luckily, they got a lot of shots, so it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
But 5 goals doesn't really match what the gameplay looked like.
Yeah, hit out 31-14. Oh, I can go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it was such a foreign experience watching Geelong just play like shit, like really bad. Like, they just looked so. It must have just been the Saints' defense and their structure and stuff just tore them to shreds. Like, they didn't look like a chance. Like, even though the Geelong was still close in the last quarter, I was like, there's no way they're going to win this. Like, this is they're gone. And I don't like, what happened, John? What happened to the Cats? I don't understand.
I went
on year or that game
through the year.
Yeah, a bit of both. I went on a Cats pod after the game. We did like an after the show on Twitter Live, where we were all just sort of wallowing in our sorrows and talking about it. And I said at the time, it was all going to be dependent on like what version of the Saints we were going to get show up. Like, were we going to get the really patchy Saints that we've seen a few times over the last like 4 to 6 weeks? Or were we going to get the really like highly efficient, well polished this version of the Saints that we got? And then on the flip side, it was the same question with the Cats. Were we going to get the really like nice polished side that we saw against Port Adelaide play really well, were fairly competitive against Collingwood? Or were we going to get the version against Freo at Cardinia Park and the Giants and the Suns earlier in the year? It just felt like almost every team, if they had like one best performance throughout the year, it was always against the Cats.
I can guarantee a Hawthorn's best performance was not against the Cats this year. I
Neither
can guarantee
the
that.
That's the only two. But yeah, it just like it. The one thing that has stuck out all year that's been really consistent was our skill errors. We're not a team that makes many skill errors. We're not a team that really like attacks the corridor, and we've always been a high possession game team, and it didn't really happen. You could see that Chris Scott was trying to do it on Saturday night. He kept trying to attack the corridors and go through the middle of the field, and I get he was being aggressive because it was like we had to win this game. It was winning in, so felt like we really tried everything, but it just was not working. I felt like every time I was looking at the TV screen, there was always at least like 3 Saints players to every 1 Geelong player. And they were mauling. They looked really good. If they played that well, they will do well in finals.
Well, I was going to say, what do we think about the Saints? So they've had wavering form throughout the year, especially in the second half, but good game to have against a team fighting for the finals.
Come good. I think they've come good like late in the season. I think their last probably few weeks has been pretty decent. And, their win against Hawthorn now looks a lot better because like Hawthorn beat Collingwood and ran Melbourne really close. And
their loss to the Carlton sort of like looks more admirable now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Saints are pretty decent. I reckon they could actually, I think they're the kind of team that, okay, this is my dream scenario, that Carlton makes the 8 and Saints do as well. Carlton are 5th, Saints are 8th, and the Saints, the team that no one thought belonged in the 8 beats Carlton, who were, smashing it for the second half of the year. So that's my dream scenario.
Well, this week will be a good test for them. They've got Brisbane up in Queensland.
That was the other thing about
this
game
tough
for the Saints on the weekend. That they had to beat the Cats. There was must. They had no option to lose that if they play finals. So here we are, winding down the season. We've got the news that Isaac Smith is retiring. Obviously, a faithful Geelong Cats.
Yeah, I mean, it was good on him. I got no ill will against Izzy. I booed him when he played, but I got no.
You boo a lot of people, don't you, Jess?
So shut up, Eddie.
I actually don't think we're meant to hear too many other retirements on the Geelong side of thing. We did also Segler, long-time Geelong Cats. Can I take that one as well, Jasper? Can I take the 2 Hawks?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I mean...
Nah, Segler sucks, so it was fine.
Rough. No, I'll take Segs back. He played over 100 games for Hawks, surprisingly.
He was much better at Hawthorn.
Yeah, good on him. But Tom Hawkins signed a new contract, so no other...
I was on a Cats...
re-signed as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I was on a Cats pod last night, which you can actually watch now, called The Hoops, shout out, where we were talking about that exactly, that Hawkins is going in for surgery, which is a good sign because it means that they're wanting him to be fit and ready to go for season 2024. So that's exciting. And I think we'll mostly keep everyone. I think we'll still keep Paddy Dangerfield, Mitch Duncan.
I think it's great that Hawkins is going to keep going because I think by the time he retires, he'll have reached the actual government-mandated retirement age. So it's good for him.
He didn't want to go out with Jackery or the way they came in together. So that was good. So, yeah, season winds down. And I was also saying, the last thing I'll say about it is, one thing I was saying, though, was that I think we'll be back there next year. I think we're going to fix up a lot of things that went wrong for us this season.
Well, what's at the top of that list, do you reckon?
I think the team will sort of return to form. I think that our young players who sort of took a dip will sort of return to that 2022 window that we needed them, and I think we'll be able to address a few issues. One thing we really need to address is the defense. We were giving up so many 100-point games, even earlier in the season, to teams like the Eagles, who scored 92 points on us. It was a really constant thing that we hadn't seen in years past, when we were highly successful. So I know a lot of people are calling for us to go tall and go rucks and bolster.
Are you saying maybe Tom Stewart should have retired this year as well?
No, the thing is, he needs help. He's he can't do the whole thing himself.
Are you saying the midfielder Tom Stewart should have retired, Jasper?
I'm saying he's past it. He's never got All Australian honours in the midfield, so
that's it. So
I just on the Cats though, John, I completely I can see your point of view, because I also read an article, and it was saying that Geelong's list profile, the players who are becoming good, Sam de Koning and Asava Radaglia, and their forward, pressure players and stuff, and a few of their midfielders are all still in the right age bracket. Which is really, really annoying and frustrating as not a person who doesn't support.
Well, is Asaba going to be there next year?
No, he might. He might not be. He might be, but it's not looking likely. Having said that, though, you're right, Ed. A lot of people think of us as this really, really old, put together team, but without Izzy and Selwood leaving last season, the oldest players, obviously, Hawkins and Dangerfield, and they are still old. But a lot of teams have 2 or 3 really old players, and then Most of our players are sort of in the like late 20s. Like Tom Stewart, I think is only like 27. He's still got like a really, really long way to go. So I think we're still probably like there is a bit of a discourse out there that we're like going to get rid of Mitch Duncan and we're going to blow it up and rebuild and stuff. I don't think we are. I think we're going to.
I think Zach Guthrie is going to be the next captain next year.
Yeah, and Paddy, I feel like Paddy let me down. Clip that. Paddy let me down as captain.
Oh, really? Oh, this season's on him, you reckon?
He didn't. It wasn't great.
He like rescue the season like he rescued those surfers out on the beach.
For all the shit, who was the Port Adelaide captain who's been really bad and just retired?
Tom Jonas.
Tom Jonas, yeah. For all the flack that he copped, I felt like he took a lot of the spotlight away from Paddy Dangerfield, who was injured a lot of the season. I understand that. Jeremy Cameron was really, really good up until the point that he had the baby, which was like round 4. And then it turns out you do need a lot of sleep if you want to be, do your job well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how off-season moves. Can we get Bailey Smith? Can we get who are the other? You want
Bailey Smith?
Who are the other ones who were rumored to come? I can't remember.
Oh, Darcy Parish.
Darcy Parish, yes. Did you see, Ed, today? There's actually news broke this afternoon that he has not signed his 5-year extension.
Yeah, you guys can have him. I have no desire to keep Darcy Parish.
Because he wants a 6-year extension.
He is a turnover king, and he just racks up meaningless touches.
Oh, clip that.
Clip that.
100%. I am going on record that unless, look, he's incredible at getting the ball. You just like would not want it in his hands like when he's using it. So incredible at getting the ball. He knows where it is. He should have played rugby. That's what I'm saying.
So to the Geelong Cats, been a great season. I understand there's still one game to go. A lot of people are like, "Oh, we won't have."
Has it been a great season, by the way?
How are we going to win it? Well, actually, that's the other thing I was saying last night was, what have been the 2 worst seasons of the last 15 years, and it's the 2 times that we didn't make the finals. So, yeah, not ideal, but not not the worst. I can't complain, Ed.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because like there's been times this season where Geelong has looked like the best team in the competition.
Yeah.
And yet you're not going to make the 8, so you get a better draft pick. You guys are fine.
I did say as well, like, is it too late to tank for Highly Reid? We're below the Bombers, so if we lose,
whoa,
we're going to have a better pick than the Bombers.
With all the shit talking of Essendon, it's been going on lately. And that's surprising that they're below Essendon, is all I'm saying.
When do you want to start?
Yeah, do you want to jump to the Bombers, Ed? Would you like to talk through what happened? Did you watch the game?
I actually did. I watched most of it. Obviously, the Matildas were on, but so it's flicking between the both. But look, I didn't expect us to win. Did I expect us to get beaten by 126 points and look like a bunch of people who had never played AFL were cobbled together to face the GWS Giants at Giants Stadium? I didn't expect that because we looked so uncompetitive and so like bereft of like confidence and skill. It was like crazy.
Why was that? Does anyone know why?
So
needed to win that game.
I don't know. There's a bunch of theories.
Finals.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like I couldn't explain this particular game. Like I don't know whether we all had like I don't know, like a bad flu or something. But like, look, we've been in bad form for like a good probably 6 weeks now, and we got like pasted by a bunch of teams. But we also like got really close to Sydney, and then we beat West Coast and North Melbourne, but we scraped across the line in both those games. So I think we've been in bad form for a while. I just I think the fact that we got beaten by GWS and were completely uncompetitive the entire game, and they just looked on fire. They could not miss a shot for goal. They could not miss a target, whereas we were completely the opposite. And I think, I don't know, for all the goodwill that has been, directed at the Bombers, I think that, every Essendon supporter was like, geez, we've been here before, like promised a lot in the early season and then just absolutely shat the bed in the last like 7 or 8 rounds. So I think like what I hope comes from this is that every Bombers supporter knows that we are way off it. We're essentially, I would say, our win-loss record looks great because we had 4 games against North Melbourne, West Coast.
Right.
And so, and I think that, and we got Hawthorn when they were in like crap form at the start of the year. I don't think we're a bad team. I just think that we're a long way off. Like, because I think the worst thing for Essendon to do would be to make if we had somehow if we'd beaten Port Adelaide and we had enough wins really to make the finals, but we'd limped in again, like getting smacked in the finals. If we had this game that was most recently, but it was in the finals, that would be so depressing. So I would much rather have this like absolutely humiliating loss, but in the regular season, and then everyone just kind of forget about us.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we just I don't know whether you guys saw, we just re-signed Dyson Helpful during the week.
Yeah, that's an
every
interesting choice.
supporter's like, okay,
what?
cool.
Why?
I thought it was almost gone this year.
Yeah.
How old is
he?
Isn't he like 34?
No, he's not that old. He's like 30 years old. 30,
okay, right.
32. Oh, no, yeah, 31, I think, 31 years old. And yeah, but like he's actually, at times this year, he's been quite good, but it's been pretty scattered. Like, you just think that, I would say, I watched a couple of Tigers games. I feel like he's in the same form of Jack Revolt. Like, occasionally, maybe once in a few games, Revolt had like, oh, that's a pretty good game. But really mostly like looks off the pace.
And most of those as well are in comparison to their not so good games. You're like, oh, actually, not so bad. Where it's not like, they exactly. Lit it up. It's like, yeah, okay, they performed quite well today.
An adequate standard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Essendon has had many dark days, so this is just one to add to the pile. But
clip it.
Yeah.
The most depressing thing ever said.
Yeah. But I think
Ed, sometimes your Bombers
I don't
make
know.
this pod very hard to do.
Oh, absolutely. But also it's like, it's fun, it's part of the theater of it. Look, I know that like if you view sport is entertainment, right? And like we are the fumbling fool, like in the movie or whatever, of like we're comic relief.
Man gets hit in groin with football.
That is our football team. And I think if I can view it more like, look, as part of the story, we are like kind of a background character that comes in and out and is kind of funny to watch. So it's like that is our role in the AFL.
I reckon if you ask most Essendon supporters, they do not consider themselves or their team to be background characters in the AFL.
Well, when we win a final again, I feel like we can maybe get some lines in a scene. But until then, we're an extra. So,
and you get to finish your season against the Pies on Friday Night Football. How's that going to be?
Could get seriously ugly. I'm worried about this game.
It could get ugly for Collingwood. Imagine losing to an Essendon team who has nothing to play for, and they're still fighting for top position.
That would be great. I did say, I feel like there's like a chance that happens, but I feel like it's like a 1 in 20 chance. So who knows?
Yeah, it's like the scheduling gods had months and months to prepare for this, and they left it so late to get this fixture right. And it's like, great, prime time Friday night, Essendon. Really, whose idea was that?
Well, actually, when they did that, we looked like we would probably play finals, I think.
Not to mention that they're a week away from at least needing to fight for a final spot. Like, if there's they were very close to getting it perfect, the organizers, the schedulers.
Yeah, it's really 1 week that turned that game into like an absolute just non-event. So, and it's sold out. The game is sold out.
I mean, Pies still have a lot to fight for.
To the Essendon supporters going to that game,
it sold out before last weekend's game. It sold out during last week.
Yeah. To any Essendon supporter who shows up for that game, praise be to you. Good job.
I told you, no proselytizing on this podcast.
No, we're a fatalistic bunch, but like we'll get there next year.
I suppose we should talk about the most harrowing news to come out of the weekend, and that was the Adelaide Crows, who will not be playing finals. after going down to the Sydney Swans by 1 point. I don't think, has the team ever been robbed in a way that the Crows were robbed like this?
It's hard to say. Like, it was egregious, and I still I was watching it live, and I was sure that it was a goal. Like, I was celebrating like Ben Mackay was.
Yep.
Just because fuck Sydney, and that it wasn't even reviewed is I mean, we don't need to relitigate that whole thing.
Can I?
No, we do.
Can I just check that? Did they actually do like the snicko on the goalpost?
No, they didn't do anything.
It didn't hit the post.
They didn't use the arc because the players kept hitting the post, and apparently, if the players hit the post, they can't use it because they can't tell what's the player and what's the ball.
Really?
Yeah, because like once you hit it, it starts reverberating and then it like disrupts the audio. So they had to go off visuals. But having said that, they didn't do that because the goal umpire didn't call for the use of the what are they, VAR? What do we call it?
Yeah, like just to review it.
Yeah, just to even review it because he was like, no, it's definitely hit the post. Like he was confident. And everyone at home's watching it. And even these poor bastards behind you, Ed, in the crowd there, they're all filming it, looking at it. And they've just watched it go through. And it's been called a point.
Yeah. That it's not reviewed is crazy. Like, that's the only thing. I can call it a goal, but to not review it, the whole reason this was brought in was from that Tom Hawkins goal in, what was it, the 09 grand final?
The same people were booing him on the weekend,
like
for something that happened 15 years ago. Anyway,
it's a pretty big chip on the stage shoulders.
Got it. Right?
Like, this situation is exactly the reason it was brought in. It's not for the 25 minutes into the second quarter where it's been touched off the boot. And
was it behind or did it hit the out of bounds post?
And it takes 3 minutes to say. It's for the literally last 30-second goal to take the lead in a very defining game.
The most like stupid component of it is if it's a goal, every goal is reviewed to make sure that it was a goal. If it's not a goal, though,
exactly. So call it a goal, then review it and get it overturned if it's not a goal.
It was a goal, but it wasn't reviewed because it was called not a goal. So they just kept going, even though it was it makes no sense.
Yeah, there's some positive or negative test vibes to it where you're like, well, it wasn't a behind, so we can't test for it. But you're like, we'll test for it to see if it's a behind. It's like, no, it's a behind, but we can't test for it.
Yeah.
Okay. My only reservation with this, like, because what are we heading for? That, like, you know, every single shot for goal is reviewed from every angle, and we spend like 5 minutes, like,
but
checking
see, like, that's not going to happen. See, the thing is, like, I don't care if they all play on, and there's still a team of people.
Yeah,
like whoever
in the background,
like confirming, and then it's like, oh wait, guys, we need to stop. And we need to go and see if this is like actually what it was, or not even that. If they're like, actually, we determined that it was a goal, you can all go back to the boundary. We can put time back on the clock or whatever. Like the fact that we will, like Jasper was saying before, we'll like spend 5 minutes analyzing the most pixelated fucking frame we've ever looked at to make sure it's like, oh, did it touch his finger? Did it not? We're not sure. So we'll stop the game for that. We will stop the game to see if it's a behind or it's gone out of bounds or whatever. But when the football team's entire season is on the line, it's like, nah.
I think I don't mean, because obviously the umpire must have heard something. He wouldn't have just done it because he's like a Swan supporter. Like
I'm not saying he rigged it, but umpires make mistakes.
Bloody 23rd player, right? No, but so because like I have a very different take to most people on this. In that,
actually, did anyone think the goal umpire looked a lot like Lance Franklin, who wasn't playing?
You don't regularly see umpires that are 6'7"
and that oiled up.
He was in shorts and a t-shirt. But because like I don't like technology, or I don't like
clip that.
I don't like technology in sport. I think they shouldn't exist together. I think it should be like, it's an emotional game. The umpire gets it right like 80% of the time and gets it wrong 20%, and you should just like allow for that. I think like and the Women's World Cup, watching that, I'm just like, oh man, where are we heading with like all this technology? Like, it's sport, it's subjective, and like it's gonna be wrong a lot of the time, or like not used properly. Just go with what we used to have, which was the umpires got it wrong every now and then. And how much joy does everyone get out of like the Saints booing Tom Hawkins because of a dodgy decision went, they're away from them nowadays? It's great. Like it's theater, it's entertainment. Instead of being like, why don't we just like, get like robots to play out there and have everything 100% accurate all the time? It's like, no, this is a human, dramatic, subjective, imperfect sport. I don't think technology should be in there.
I'm sure if you ask Saints fans, they would much rather have had the kick in from the Tom Hawkins non-goal than to enjoy booing him 15 years later.
No, but like I'm saying, do the Saints want to eventually just be watching this game that is like so over reviewed and technology that it's like so far removed from the original human sport that was originally played? That's what I'm
Coming
saying.
From the guy who loves rules in games, it is very surprising that you wouldn't want to see rules strictly enforced in this game.
I'm up for rules. I just think they should all be human interpretation.
And I like that you've gone like full like extremist right wing type, like to the nth degree, like, oh, what are we going to do next? Have robots on the field?
There's a sliding. That slope is slippery.
I actually run the sports section for Breitbart, so yeah.
I actually agree with you. I want them to decide. Cool. I want them to either be all umpiring, so we only count on the umpires, or no umpires at all, like the tennis is doing now. They're there or they're not. We need them or we don't. Like, go to the booth, go to the like camera review system, or go to the people in the field. This kind of like jarring, like it's almost like it's like the camera crew versus the umpiring's decision. Got to make sure they were right or they were wrong, or like got to confirm, or like if there was no review system, we would be so used to being like, oh my God, that was such a bullshit goal. We'd probably actually be like, hey, we need a review system. But
no, okay.
Like now that we know it doesn't work.
No.
Let's just go back to the old school umpiring.
Yeah, exactly. Save yourself millions of dollars on that crappy art technology because it's awful. You ever try and make out
there's no way it's millions of dollars. Save yourself tens of dollars from all the cameras that you have set up for the art system.
The technology is like an old flip phone, like out, like trying to take a picture of a ball, like in a distance. It's awful.
The first generation Razor just recording video.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, imagine if they did get rid of umpires entirely, and it's like the center bounce was actually like a hole appeared in the where the center is, and the ball just like flew out in the middle of the stadium. That would be incredible.
I don't think Sean Wren would like that idea.
Why?
Because that's why they've got like the circle or whatever in the.
He
did his ACL. I think there was like something in the center that they used to have, and he found it, whatever.
Oh no!
So I'm saying a player would like put their foot in the hole as the ball's coming out or something.
I would like to see there be like 20 cannons around the roof of the stadium.
You don't know which way it's coming.
You don't know which one's going to come. And it will shoot out of one and land on the field. And everyone's going to make their way to the ball.
Multi-ball.
That'll
fix our problems. Yeah.
There should be 20 balls that come out, but only one's a real one, and you don't know until you handball or kick it, and it'll explode.
Yes. It's like the other ones are like have the weight of like a balloon. So.
I would like if they had different colors as well. So, like, if there was a purple football, you'd actually get like 10 points for a goal, as opposed to like.
Yeah. But the purple football is also made out of the same stuff a bowling ball's made out of. So. But
there's only like one. Anyway, let's.
All right.
We're on topic right now, aren't we?
Let's jump into a couple more games. I thought the Brisbane looked fucking good against the Pies on Friday night. I've taken off my Geelong Cats jersey and I put on my Brisbane Lions.
Excuse me, who was advocating for them for the whole year? Who said they weren't going to make the finals, man?
Did I say that?
I reckon you did.
We'll have to go back and check the
tapes
on that one. But who else am I going to go for? Oh, Port Flagelade have been on.
Yeah, I
pretty much hate every other team.
Saints and Brisbane are my teams. I want them to win.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Brisbane, I'd be okay with winning the grand final, and Saints too. And probably Melbourne. I'd be okay with Melbourne winning
Fuck
again.
Melbourne.
But think about Brisbane, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think that this is their window. Like, they haven't won a premiership in 20 years. And they've been right there for like what, the last 5 years, 6 years?
This is
How
also
long?
the type of form. Like there's been quite sneaky. I mean, a lot of that's because they're Queensland, so Melbourne media doesn't talk about them so much. But like they're second on the ladder for all the talk that Collingwood and Port have had this year.
They can be first.
Yeah, which they have never done as
if they win and Pies lose against the Bombers.
Yeah, well, I think but either way, if Brisbane gets a home final, like they're as good as in to the grand final because they're going to play 2 more games at the Gabba, like the qualifying.
Yeah, the Gabba's been an absolute fortress this year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say they're in. They've had some iffy records in the finals lately, so there's still a long way to go.
That's true.
If the season, I think they'd play Port Adelaide in Brisbane, which is a nice matchup for them. And if they won that, they get the bye. So, yeah, I'm into it.
Go Brizzy.
Oh, actually, a question on that. As pro or anti the pre-finals bye?
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, I'm anti it, I think.
Oh, no, hang on. The week off between the regular season and the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hate it. Do it before the grand final if you're going to do one.
Yeah.
That does seem to be the consensus, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's there.
Yeah,
they originally did it so like teams would stop resting players in a final round and kind of lose integrity in the season. But I think Freo really policed that anyway. Yeah, they pulled out like 12 players and
15, I think. They played against the Hawks. The Hawks beat them by like 100 points, and then they beat the Hawks, I think, in week 1 of the finals.
Well, they did it against they famously against the Cats as well, where like the week before they pulled out all their players, and then the Saints beat them, and then they went to Geelong with their proper players and then beat Geelong. So obviously, like,
so it's more Ross Lyon that needs to be policed rather than
exactly, yeah.
But it's happening this weekend again. Well. Like Geelong is sending all of their good players for surgery, and I think we want to see a lot of our young people this weekend against the Dogs, and the Dogs need to win to maintain finals. So, like, how do they stop it? What's the point?
Well, yeah, I guess the AFL's looking at it from the perspective of the teams that have already got the top 8 positions locked up. They're not caring. Yeah. Like, I guess there's not much they can do about teams that have got no chance of making the finals, resting their players and not. Putting them in surgery.
All right, a couple of other games. So we talked about the Giants looking excellent. Gold Coast Suns looked really competitive until they weren't. That's probably the story of their season. Any thoughts on Trent Cotchin or Jack Riewoldt?
I was just going to say there's a good article and worth noting with the Gold Coast versus Carlton that like Charlie Curnow is turning into a seriously dominant player. Like he's if he's in the team with Carlton, like they're a chance to beat anyone because he is like, by so far, like the inform forward in the competition. He's so good and so impactful in games. It's pretty amazing to watch.
I feel like we've been robbed the start of his career. Like we should have seen so much of him. We should have known this years ago. But at least we're seeing better late than never, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that's a good call. Hawks have played a good game against the D's, who just sort of like got away with it at the end, but I thought it was competitive for the most part.
They were thereabouts for 3 quarters. Like they were winning at halftime, and they put up a fight as they have done for the last month and a bit or so. They just can't. They just had that 1 quarter off, which they have done all year, really. So, and it's against one of the best teams who are still fighting for ladder position, where the Hawks had nothing to play for. So, wasn't too surprised by the end result.
Is this literally the best kind of shit season you could possibly ask for, Jazz? Like you've been in almost every, like you've been in virtually every game from like maybe the midpoint of the season onwards, and then you've beaten like top 4 teams and gone close with so many others. Could you have asked for anything more?
Not after, like, maybe at the start of the season. If you had told me the win-loss record at least of like 7-15, I would have been like, oh yeah, okay. But after the way that the season started, where after 2 rounds everyone was pillaring and wanted to pile on us for tanking, where North were 2-0 or West Coast were 1-1, I think, and everyone thought they were going to have a better year than they did.
Yeah,
and we turned it around massively, and we're in a good spot. Just cautiously optimistic for next season. People are getting very hyped up, and it's not always a linear curve upwards of like, you're this good then as a young team, then there, then there. It's you can have a down year, and that's where a struggle may be if we don't increase. Even if we maintain the same, I think that would be seen as a disappointment next season. I think people are expecting to see growth, so that'll be the trouble.
Like they're 10-point favorites against Freo this weekend.
That is very surprising.
That is very surprising. When was the last time they were favorites, let alone by that much?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's just that. I guess Freo's out of the finals as well, so maybe they it's away from home, so
yeah,
they have nothing to fight for. I don't think. I mean, Freo's only won 2 more games than the Hawks, so
yeah. Is that game in Tasmania? I wonder.
That's at the G.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going?
Yep.
Nice. And do we need to say anything about the Dogs? And
I just want to say that
yes,
they lost against West Coast.
Yeah. We might need to say something about the team that lost to the team that's won only one legitimate game this year. The only other win coming against North.
2 now. I mean, hey, the Weagles looked good.
Yeah, I mean, the Weagles have actually been competitive in some games of late, up to maybe halftime, 3/4 time, and then still get blown out in the end. But they managed to hold on. Well, actually, they came back in the 4th quarter in this one, which is even more impressive.
It feels to me like with the Dogs they're basically the Western Marcus Bontempelli's Bulldogs or whatever. The
Liberatores as well, with no Libba as well.
They lost Libba. Did he get injured in that game? Yeah, he did. Or did he even play?
No, I think he was injured last week.
He missed it. I mean, there is that joke that like the Western Bulldogs are just like 22 midfielders all running around the ground, but without Libba, they certainly seem like really hamstrung, and like that should have been a shoe-in for them, and they'd be playing finals. And instead, here they are. They got to beat the Cats.
It's an all-time fumbling the bag moment. Like they had it. They just need to beat West Coast, and they're basically playing finals.
Yeah, I can't remember a loss that bad.
They had to beat one of the worst teams of
this century,
modern times, just to cement their place in the finals. And they couldn't do it. I reckon for that alone, Bevo is probably. I mean, it's so hard to. You don't want to be reactive, but it's not a great look. And at some point, you wonder about Bevo.
Yeah, because
go ahead.
I was going to say that he's got like 2 years to run in his contract, I think.
Doesn't mean a whole lot these days.
He got this big. But like, the Bulldogs aren't like a team that is flush with cash to pay, someone out like that. So I think, I don't think they can sack him right now. So
no, they can't. He'll be there for at least another 2 years, or if they do, I don't know. Like I like Bevo. I'm not sure that he.
I like him too, but
the problem.
A lot of Dogs fans, I think he's a bit unorthodox, and so that is hard to cling on to, I think, over enduring ups and downs.
I think so. I think some of the like list management and recruiting is a bit of a problem. Like the Rory Lobb deal.
Yeah.
What were they thinking there?
It was a strange one.
It was a really, really strange one. They brought in Liam Jones. That was a good one. But, even then, he was good at the start of the season. And then after his injury, he sort of has never really returned to form. They got a bunch of young guys that they're trying to like bring through the system. And then like their top end talent is great. Adam Cerra is great. Bont's great. Caleb Daniels great. Even like Ed Richards, Bailey Smith, who, he was playing a lot better last year and at the start of this year. Same with Tim English. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, how is this team not making the finals? Like, this is crazy. It has
I was
so
literally
many
like 2 weeks
stars.
ago. I was saying how like when they're on, they're one of the best teams in the competition,
Yeah,
and now they may
and
not
like,
play finals.
and like Jamari Ugle-Hagan in the second half of the year started kicking goals. Like, they should be in the finals. They're a good team, and they're somehow not. And I think that's why it's like, even though Bevo has years to run his contract, it's like, this seems like a coaching thing, or like maybe not him, maybe it's the assistants around him or something, because something's not right. They have a good
I think at
list.
some point
They don't have that
it
many
does go all
injuries.
the way. Like even if it's
Yeah.
not necessarily the coach, it kind of is by them being the head. Like you got to cut off the head to start fresh sometimes, even if it's a somewhat separate issue. You just need a fresh leader.
We might talk about this next week, but I mean, the job that is Adam Kingsley
for Saints.
For the Giants, sorry.
Oh, the Giants, sorry, yep.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I've just changed teams. I was thinking about the Dogs. Yeah, no, Dogs are good, but the Giants, who are in the 8 at the moment, like the job that Adam Kingsley has done to get the Giants from where they were this first half of the year, where they are now, is commendable.
Huge.
So, how do we think they're going to go against Carlton versus Dogs at beating the Cats? It's going to be a tight one.
I reckon Carlton versus Jesuits is actually going to be a really tight game.
Yeah.
It's they've moved it to primetime Sunday night at 6:10. I think it's going to be a great game. I think,
what a weird time for a game.
Yeah. Got to get that viewership. I think that when they did the schedule, they didn't think Carlton was going to be so good. So they thought it was going to be like a win and in game. So I understand.
Yeah.
But I think it's still going to be exciting.
Huge.
All right. Let's jump off of round 23 for now. We'll have a look at the week ahead soon. But in the meantime, Ed, would you like to jump into Rules the World?
Yeah. So I think we've all been, Ball or Nothing had a little break. We watched the Matildas. We saw some glorious of the world game. Some might I call it soccer, being from Australia, but some call it football. But you know what? I just noticed. I did a bit of research while I was watching the games about, this game is so popular. Like the Matildas games were watched by like 11 million Australians or something like that, and I'm sure many more millions overseas. We need some of these rules in our game to improve it. We need much more, of that world game vibe in our game so that we get more people buying into it. And look, a few of these here are a little bit out there. They might challenge some of the purists of AFL and maybe change many aspects of how this game is played. But I invite you to, open your mind to how these might improve. So look, anyway, let's start off. First one's here. With a no-brainer. Johnny, you mentioned it earlier. Instead of any of this, bouncing off the point or goal post or whatever, and being a point or being out in the full, it's just whatever it bounces off, it goes in. And if it bounces on the post, bounces back, it's play on. I mean, I think this is a great one, because what other sport penalizes you for how the ball goes into the goals? You don't see a basketball player getting 2.5 points for, hitting the rim or something, or a soccer getting half a goal for hitting the goalpost. What's the deal with AFL penalizing players who happen to hit the post?
I'll take this one, because I've been campaigning for this for years and years. It, in hindsight, like, I know we've grown up with the game, so we're used to it. It must be so strange to watch our sport and the idea that you get a score because the ball hit a pole. What other sport does that happen in? Not soccer, basketball, NFL, nothing. You get no reward because you hit the post.
It makes the sport more unique.
Oh yeah, and
we don't want to be unique.
Already.
No. Amalgamate us into a.
We want to be part of a crowd.
That you hit the behind post, and it's either like behind or out on the full. It just like, I don't understand. I think what would be really exciting as well is the ball hits the post and bounces back into play. Like, it still keeps going. It's play on.
Yeah.
I think this has been missing for years. No one else thinks this, just me. So
Oh,
Yeah,
mate,
no, I don't agree.
I'm
So
on board
I got
after
nothing
watching
stupid.
the
Well,
after.
I'm for the current. I like the current ways. It's different.
All
I
right,
like seeing the
all
ball
right,
get
all
this
right.
close and you know the result.
So look, Jazz. Okay, if you don't like this, how about this one? What I noticed was so when you take a free kick in soccer, you know, you're there, you got the goals in front of you, but you got multiple people in a wall. How about in AFL, you can have multiple people on the mark, either this, like, just horizontally, or you could stack players on top of each other to like get it be a better chance of touching the ball. So it's like that would be really useful if like it's an after the siren kick or whatever, and it's like you quickly line up your players within the 30 seconds that the player has to take the kick in, and they're like on top of each other and they can like touch the ball, and so the player's going to kick around them, like stuff like that.
This is in antithesis to one of your favorite rules, the stand rules. You're only allowed one man on the mark. You
Yes,
used to
but
be
you can
allowed
have
multiple people on the
multiple,
mark.
but you can have multiple people, but they've all got to be standing, or they stand on each other's shoulders.
It takes a lot of movement to get up on one's shoulders at what point?
Maybe that is a possible
Also,
issue.
I mean, this is it's good timing because your mate Lordo, he's been talking about how he wants to change the rules for the stand rule for shots on the goal, because players taking a shot on goal, they can just run up, and then in the last 5 meters divert and play on and basically get an extra couple of meters on their kick because the player on the mark has to stand there and they can just run around basically.
Isn't that the point of the rule? Isn't that why they brought it in though? Was so that that could happen specifically?
I mean, there's a multitude of reasons. I don't think there was any inciting incident like there have been for other rules. I think they wanted the game to play on more fast, so it wasn't stopping the ball so much and having lots of ball ups and whatever.
All right. I take it this one was not a huge hit. That's okay. The next one's going to blow your mind. So, we're so close to last touch out, right? We've got insufficient intent to keep it in.
God,
it's like what a ludicrous, rule. So why don't we just bring in last touch? And like soccer, you've got to throw the ball back in. So it's like, we get rid of boundary umpires entirely. And the players, they do get possession of it, the opposition, but they have to throw it in over their head. So they have to find a player over their head.
Does it have to be over their head, or can it be like a NFL style pitch?
No, not the only ones I was thinking was over their head, or like a soccer throw, like they grab the ball on both ends and they're like.
But I'm saying like there's a whole untapped market there because there's be a whole lot of QBs not playing in the NFL. There's not many international leagues of NFL, unlike basketball. There's a whole unemployed market of people that you could get who would just be like pinpoint right into the goal square for a bicycle kick goal.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm really into this idea as well. Even if it was just like you have to handball it back in. I'd be cool with that.
That would make it. You'd have to be like very close.
Yeah, like in basketball,
or you have someone who can like massively punt it with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, try throwing a ball with the both hands doing that.
Yeah, that would be very difficult as well.
Okay. One rule that I thought was crucial, and I love a bit of quirkiness in soccer, is that, okay, we've got a game called football, the world game, and yet you can head a goal, which just makes no sense at all. And so why not we just introduce that to AFL? Because we know that the football that we use is quite unpredictable. So instead of letting it bounce, sometimes they let it bounce and it's like, oh God, it's gone the wrong way. Don't let it bounce. Just hit it through the goals when you're really close.
So you would have to somehow get higher than everyone's fists. I don't mind it. I don't mind it for regular play where sometimes they try to someone will they're transitioning through the midfield and someone will handball and rather than grab it and handball again, they'll just do a quick tap on to the next person. But then sometimes
they should definitely use their head. Yeah.
For throwing. Yeah. Now
that should be called for throwing. Yeah.
Yeah. But instead they can use their head to tap it on, which they can actually do.
Okay. They can do that now. Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying the rules will now change that a goal is allowable under the knee and above the shoulder.
Yes. Yeah. You can head the ball in.
So
imagine goal of the year would just be completely revolutionized.
Well, I'm thinking there's a loose ball in the goal square, 2 meters out of the line. A player's like, well, here's my opportunity. I'm going to die for it. Defensive player is like, well, I got to clear this. Goes to kick it. Kicks the guy in the head. Full on.
Well, look,
I don't think that's what they felt.
if you truly care about winning, you will put your head on the
line. Now I'm just reimagining Lordo, previously spoken of Lordo's goal of the year where he backheeled it. I'm thinking of him doing a backflip.
Well, he had it facing that way, and he's like, well.
Yeah, and so he just no, I'm thinking he puts on the ground and does a backflip into the ball on the ground.
If you could get Matthew Lloyd to do a front flip, and get the ball, that would be amazing. I think that's a tick.
Yeah.
So the next one, I think, John, you will love this, I think. So we are a very interesting, curious game that we do not have any form of offside rules. So I was thinking that we could have it, you're going to have a defensive player between yourself and the goals to kick a goal. So it's like you could get down the other end really quickly, but if you're down there and you don't have a defensive person in front of you, you need to kick it backwards for them to kick a goal.
Yeah, I love this rule. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems with it.
Everyone hates goals where you get like a turnover and a player streams for 40 meters in the open to get a great goal on the run. The audience is always like booing and they're always really quiet and they hate it.
What about this, Ed? To go with that rule, what about you can't use your hands, and also the ball, rather than being oval, it's more like round, and then without goals, what if we put like some nets behind them? And
we're talking the international rules style.
Silly idea.
I'm trying to describe soccer.
International rules. We have a yearly competition in it.
There's already a sport that exists that I'm trying to make.
But the international rules one, they don't have an offside. I think we could revolutionize AFL and bring in a new tactical, element to the game.
So we were thinking earlier about how we're sick of the interpretation and like umpires just have to have their say, or it's going to be robotic. Now we're going to introduce offside, which is probably the most policed and.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to get serious now. These are my last two. So I think one of the best elements of the World Cup, was Mackenzie Arnold. We know her as champion goalkeeper for the Matildas. And I thought about, what if in the AFL, we have our own goalkeepers where you have a 25-meter line inside the 50-meter arc, and a goalkeeper, a 23rd player, is able to patrol that area with, two long pole-like objects. And so when a player is going for goal, they can kind of, swat at it. Get out of the way. So it's but they can't.
We've lost Jasper.
But they can't.
Why is it so funny?
Okay.
Are they using Bunnings PVC pipes? What are they using?
They're kind of like goalposts, but a bit thinner, I guess. And so what's the thing with this is that they're able to go out to the 25-meter mark, but they can't go further, and they can't pick the ball up with their hands. So they have to either swat the ball or just kick it with their feet. So
they're gonna look like maniacs in the field running around with their balls.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then the goalkeepers in Australian football, and
the forward takes a mark inside 25 meters. This goalkeeper, he's on the mark 5 meters away. Can he just poke the ball out of the player's hand with the pole?
No. He's got to have his things up. He can wave them around like this, like a regular player. But imagine this: it's you've got a goal after Dan Houston from Port Adelaide kicks the goal against Essendon. But imagine Essendon has their ruck, their tallest player, has the goalkeeping duties, and they can put the poles up near the goal so they can be an extra set of posts that they might hit.
And I love this idea.
I'm for it. I love this. This is going to revolutionize the game.
You're right. It's not fair that there's a good 15 meters that we can't actually reach where people can still score.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need a bit extra.
The AFL definitely wants to crack down on high-scoring games as well. They want those goals.
They do. Well, I mean, or you get an extra player here. So I think it's more entertainment. Okay, and I think the final thing that I got from the Matildas in the World Cup was that I think we need to have a World Cup. The AFL or Aussie rules should have a World Cup, an international one. And sure, it might be a little one-sided, but imagine, all the different playoffs between all the different teams beforehand would be very entertaining. So take our game to the global stage. What are your thoughts?
I'm for this. America has the basketball in the Olympics, which is just a sport where they're expected to win the gold medal. If anything less than a gold medal is seen as utter disappointment, we need a game like that for us in the international stage.
Yeah.
And that should
maybe
be
in the Olympics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think hasn't the AFL been trying to do this for decades? They just do it really, really badly. And that is like promote our game internationally.
Yeah. It's hard to pick. Like if the sport isn't played in your country, it's hard to pick up and follow religiously. So until we get to the Los Angeles I got nothing. Whatever Los Angeles. Yeah, the Hawks are moving to Los Angeles. Yeah, until we get the Los Angeles Kangaroos.
Like the relocated Hawks. They're now in LA.
I'm sure the players would hate that. Until that happens, it's going to be hard to pick up in America, but we'll enjoy the ability for us to dominate on the world stage.
Well, okay, but what about we check this? You're not allowed to have any AFL or VFL players on the Australian team.
I mean, we would still dominate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. They could get the best international players in the world and put them against the worst team in the VFA, and I think Australia would still dominate.
Yeah, I think so.
Having played in a league outside of Australia, I can confirm that we would probably still destroy.
Have you seen a person who didn't grow up with footy trying to kick a football?
Yeah.
It's
They punt it like an NFL ball. It's like the motion is like hands extended, arms straight out, extended, and then they just like, I'll do it in front of my camera. Arms extended straight out, and then they just like release the ball, and then just like leg flies up in the air.
Yeah, so I'm for it. More gold medals for us.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you.
And thank you. That was fantastic, as always.
Go Tillies.
All right, let's get into it. The final round of the regular season for season 2023. It is round 24, saying that for the first time. Friday night, we touched on it earlier, but Bombers will play Collingwood at the MCG. Pies are 30-point favourites in this one. Fairly high over-under as well, 174. So, Ed, how are we feeling about the Bombers? Now, if the Bombers do win here and Brisbane Lions do win their game, Brisbane Lions will finish on top of the ladder.
Well, I don't care much for the Brisbane Lions, but...
But you just said you were going to support them in the finals campaign.
Yeah, they're kind of the best of the bad bunch, but like, no, they're okay. I think that Bombers are going to lose this. They're like, well, look, they've got a very, very, very tiny chance. They could turn it around, but I think most likely, I think we'll get beaten by around 80 points.
Is there any chance that what we've seen from Collingwood over the last 4 weeks, they've won one of the last 4, including, and that was just to the Cats who did make a late surge comeback. So is there any chance that the Bombers respond from what we saw last week with some sort of dignity to finish the season and like glimmer of hope for next season type performance?
I think 70 to 80 points is a glimmer of hope for next season because as long as we're not a doormat that you the Pies just kind of walk over and pummel us by like 120 points as well, I think that'll be an improvement on the week before. So I hope we're more competitive. I hope being in Melbourne, I hope maybe getting like another week into Draper, because it was like, you know what I hope? I hope we don't put in a completely embarrassing performance. That is my hope for this week.
So it's the Simpsons meme of Simpsons. Can you go 5 seconds without embarrassing yourself?
Pretty much, yeah. We're home with a fish in his pants.
Yeah, I might meme that. Now, the next day, early afternoon, Hawks play Freo, and as we said before, Hawks are 10-point favourites at the MCG.
I hope that is for a reason, because as said, I'll be there, and I've only seen the Hawks win one game live in person this year, so I'd like to see them win another one before the season's over.
Yeah, it seems strange. I think a lot of people are betting on how they've been performing lately.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps that it's at the G and that the season's over for Freo. They've got no chance of making the finals. So
Yeah.
this is one of the more confident. If you had asked me if I'd be comfortable playing them 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have said no. But with the season the way it is, I'm as confident as I'll ever be this year in a game, which is to say not very, but there's some glimmer of hope.
I low-key think there's a bit of value here on Freo, who went to Kardinia Park and beat the Cats by 7. They lost to Brisbane Lions by 3 points. They destroyed the West Coast Eagles by 101 points. And then they lost on the weekend to Port Adelaide, who are a very good side. I think, low-key, there's actually some very, very good value here on Freo.
I wouldn't be surprised if we lost. Interesting with the schedule is at that exact same time, North are playing Gold Coast.
Yes.
Which is that the first time this year 2 games have started simultaneously?
I think it happened last weekend. In fact, if you ask us Swamp Thing, I'm sure he'll tell you.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he can
the
tell me
last
anything.
time that we saw 2 games at the same time was
36 hours ago.
Yeah, round 23, 2023. That's how you get his attention. Don't block me, Swamp. Okay, so then we see Brisbane and the Saints. I think this is going to be a great game Saturday afternoon at the Gabba. Hopefully it's competitive. The Saints are competitive. If they were anything like they were against the Cats last weekend, I think it'll be good. But oh man, the line's looking good.
Agreed. I hope the Saints get over the line, but Brisbane probably win this one.
I kind of want Brizzy to win to throw some chaos. Imagine Collingwood not finishing top of the ladder after their season.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, because they have been on top of the ladder for such a long time, haven't they?
Yeah, a long time.
I'd say almost the entire season, because they came out and beat the Cats round 1, and then I think they round 2 as well. So, and then I don't think anyone cares about the Crows and the Eagles. The Dogs will play the Cats. I don't think there's going to be too much in that one. I think Dogs are only 4.5 point favorites. That seems really strange. I think they smashed the Cats.
Yeah, but
then you reckon they've got a...
They just lost to West Coast, so hard to say with them.
West Coast played a really, really good game, though. It was a massive outlier. Like, they have to win this game, and the Giants have to lose, and then they're in. It's the same thing with the Bombers. Like, if the Bombers win this against the Pies, and the Giants lose, and the Dogs lose, the Bombers are in the finals still.
No, Bombers are out.
Oh, no, percentage. The percentage.
No. Yeah. Okay. We're in the finals if we beat Collingwood by 140 points, and I think the Giants beat the Blues by also 140 points or something like that. So that'd be awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said it because I can actually see there's actually no betting odds to win the premiership. So it's like not mathematically impossible, but it's like even the sports books are like, no, you're physically not allowed to bet this. And then that's the way the season's going to finish. We're going to finish up with a good old-fashioned Sunday night game, the Blues and the Giants winning.
That'll be a big game as well.
Having said that, though, the Giants... They'll be like... This actually might be a bit of a dud game, because if the Dogs lose and the Bombers lose, both entirely possible, then the Giants are in, and then there's nothing to get excited about.
Yeah, I don't think that means that they won't play hard. Sorry, Ed, you go.
Yeah. I was going to say that it'll be really interesting, because I think if the Dogs lose, the Giants will take 8th place, and then it'll just be like Carlton versus GWS this week, and then Carlton versus GWS again in 2 weeks, which will be really interesting.
Could there ever be a game where it's like you just continue playing, so you play 8 quarters of football? And the score just continued.
They did, but every player died of exhaustion, so they stopped it after that.
I don't mean they keep playing. Like, you still take the break.
Keep going.
But when you go to start the next game,
I see.
It starts with the same scoreline.
Yeah.
And it's just quarter 5.
8 quarters sounds funny as well.
Yeah, even though that's not a quarter.
Okay. They were there was talk of an AFL Grand Final series instead of just one Grand Final. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because that was doing the rounds recently.
No,
I'm into it.
It would not make sense for a sport where there is no round robin or whatever to then have one for the biggest game of the year.
It just feels like it'd be such a letdown. Like they played this game and it's like, you guys got to do another grand final. This seems weird. Like,
it's never going to happen.
Do it.
Not a fan.
We'll
would make a lot of money
to finish off the regular season as it was, and look forward to finals. But I can't believe the season's come and gone.
Yeah, it's a bummer because no more Hawks after this week.
That's not a bummer.
It's such a good thing that there's no more Bombers after this week. We had a great run.
That's the gift for everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate your time. Gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. Jasper, enjoy the game. Hope it's everything you want it to be. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Oh!